Hello again. Hello everyone. We just finished just a few seconds ago the tutorial on how to get the aircraft to this configuration. Right now we could be ready to taxi or ready to do some configurations here on our primary flight display right here. So pilot's primary flight display. This is the navigation display, or ND, and that's going to be the co-pilot primary flight display. Autopilot is going to be here just above the ND. There's a whole bunch of little keys and whatnot around all these screens. We're going to cover them all a bit here and there, and we will confirm that we will just go over most of these. Let's start. We're going to concentrate and focus on the pilot primary flight display for the time being, which is going to be the screen right in front of us. And I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. If I look to my left, see how zoomed in I am? Hello, Missy. Nice to see you there. That's our pushback lady. Let's go back and focus on the instruments here. There's going to be a couple interesting facts that we have to cover before we go anywhere. So on the primary flight display around this screen, we have a whole bunch of buttons and knobs and switches and soft keys. These white triangles, these are the soft keys. We're going to push these quite a bit, and each one of them, they have different selection inside of each option here on the digital screen, the digital display. I'm going to describe a few things and just identify a few things from the top left to the top to the bottom right, and then we're going to, so from top left, bottom right, and then top right here. So we have navigation frequencies here on the top left. These ones are going to be controlled by these two knobs. There's an outer knob that if you scroll up and scroll down, you will change the hundreds. Outer knob changes the hundreds. Inner knob changes the decimals. And then there's a push button here that will select between nav1 and nav2. I hope at this point you know what that is, but we'll cover this in the next section. So just keep in mind, if you press this knob, you will switch between adjusting nav1 and nav2. Let's go back to nav1, and again, hundreds and decimals. Hundreds on the outer, decimals on the inner, and then this is just a standby, and any number on the right hand side of the arrow will be the active. So if you put a number here, there's going to be stuff displaying here for the VORs, ILSs, whatever. So, and the way you do that, it's just by pressing this arrow left to right. If you press it once, if you press it twice, that number comes, these numbers switch between each other. So 101050 right now, it's on standby. If I wanted to activate that guy, I would press it and it will go there. Okay. Just for an example, I'm going to pull up a program that I have called Little Nav Map, and this is a really good program, nice navigation software information sort of thing that you can zoom in and zoom out and see all the charts and everything that we have around the aircraft or where you want to go, and do some sort of a flight planning, a visual flight planning to tell you where you want to go. In Stuart here, unfortunately, we don't have any navigation navigation aids, and so I won't be able to give you any frequencies here, but in a later session I'll show you how. Okay, navigation. Next knob, the heading. This heading is going to switch nothing. This is inoperative, so you cannot click on it, you cannot do anything on it. Instead, I might be wrong. Hold on. No. Yeah, instead, you have to adjust the heading bug. See that little bug on the navigation, on the primary flight display? It's this autopilot heading bug that's going to adjust that. Okay. If you push the button, it will synchronize the bug with the heading that you are currently right now. So right now I'm stopped. I'm pointing to 270. If I press the knob, it will put that heading bug right in front of my heading. It's sort of a reset. Okay. So we cover those. Never mind about this heading bug. It's inoperative. Let's now have fun on the soft keys. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more so we have a better view of the information that will be displayed. I'm going to bring a little bit up. Too much. There we go. All right. So inset. There's nothing on the first one, so soft key number 2, inset, it's actually this map here. If you click on it and you turn off, it will go. If you click on inset, it comes back. Topo will give you the topographic information, but rarely I use that. I definitely, I don't use it. So I usually keep it on, but I don't use that. So let's go back on this soft key here on the bottom right, and let's go to PFD, primary flight display. So when you press the primary flight display, these soft keys functions come up, which are different information. If you click on the wind, you have option 1, 2, and 3. I usually, and it shows the information of the wind, the current wind here. Option 1, option 2, option 3. I do like option 3. It tells me where the wind is coming from and the direction and the velocity of the wind. I want live weather, so we can activate some wind here. There we go. So 227 at 3 knots. It's blowing from 227. So I usually leave that on, because I already activated the wind or the live weather. I'm going to press the B key on the keyboard and we'll switch the 2992 to the real barometric pressure. And if we look outside, it is raining. It is not fun. Alright, let's focus again on our little screen here. So that's where we get on. We're gonna press the back key here. If we turn off, it's gonna disappear. That's the option 3 you want. Let's go back. So just to recap, when you turn on the screens, this is the screen that it comes up with all the different options. So let's go again to primary flight display. Let's continue the setup. DME will give you the distance between nav1. If you click again, it will go away. So we're going to display that. BRG1 is going to give you the distance, the distance and the direction of your nav1. If you click it again, it's going to give you the distance and direction of nav2, and the GPS if you haven't set it, and ADF. If you click it again, it's going to go away. So there's one option, nav1, second option, nav2, third option, GPS, fourth option, ADF, fifth option, disappears. Usually, if I'm on a VOR, if I set a VOR on nav1 here, I leave it on nav1. And there's the BRG2. It's actually exactly the same functionality of BRG1, and you just switch and you go from, you may want to have one arrow here with nav1 and another arrow with nav2 with the distances and how far you are going. You may want to have the ILS on nav1 and the GPS on nav2. or you may want to have NDB on the BRG2, so you have more options. HSI button here will give you the 360 degrees circle, or you can choose the arc. I usually fly with a 360. And there's always the back soft key here on the bottom right. So this is normally how I fly. I put actually or nav1 or GPS on the BRG1. And on BRG2, I usually have or an NDB or a VOR, which would be on nav2. All right. You can remove all the terrain, and this is the more classical view, or you can synchronize with the terrain, and it will show you all the mountains, and if you are landing, it will show you the landing here and not. So all that is under PFD. So PFD, simulator or synchronized terrain or not, and you click back. You have DME, Bergen, Win, BRG1, etc., etc. Next one is going to be the OBS, which I don't usually use it. CDI, it's going to change between the courses. So if you click on CDI and put it on VOR1, the course will be whatever course you want it to be, and it will show on the right hand side here of the screen. If you click CDI again, it's going to switch to your VOR number 2, which would be the nav2, which is inactive right now. Or if you are following the GPS, you put it on GPS, and then GPS will fly. Back to our screen here. The information on the screen, we have the heading that the knob, your heading bug, is pointing to. So that's where the heading bug is pointing to. That's your own selection. The heading here on the top is the heading that the aircraft currently is facing to, and that's the course of whatever course you want to set your navigation course. So as we initially said, we would go from the top left to the bottom right. There's still a few buttons here to look at. ADF. If you click on the soft button below ADF, you can select your frequencies for your NDBs. The outer button here will select which number you are adjusting, from the thousands to the hundreds to dozens to units and to decimals. And the inner button will adjust the number that you have selected. Outside knob switches to the hundreds and thousands and whatnot. You adjust whatever you want. Once you are happy with the selection, you hit enter. It will warn you, is this what you want to do? Enter to transfer again, and you press enter again, and it activates. Okay. That's the ADF. To exit from this screen, you click on the ADF again, it will disappear. XPDR, that's the transponder, so if you click on it, let's go back again. XPDR, soft key, click on it, and standby, on, altitude, VFR code, ident, back. So what I usually do is I turn it on, I go to the code, I punch in my transponder, so if the tower tells you squawk 2001, so that's where you would go to. It shows here, 0, shows there again, 0, shows there again, and 1. Oops. Backspace. Click, click. 2. Backspace, sorry. 0, 0, 1. Once it's selected, you ident. Or back, on, ident, and it's identified. Go back. You could go back to code and put another code if they tell you to switch or not, but at this point we can go back and to the main screen here. So we cover all these. Time reference, I'm not gonna even touch that because I really don't use it that often, but I presume that you can set these for your V1, V2, rotate, and climb speed. Click on it again and it will disappear. NRST, that's the nearest. It will give you the nearest points or nearest airports or nearest VORs. It will give you a whole bunch of information here that may be useful for you. And if you click on alerts, it will give you whatever alerts that the engine or the aircraft may be going through, and that's about it. So there you go. Of course, at this point everyone or most people know that this would be the altitude that you are at right now. On the left hand side there will be the speed. On the top here, this information here will give you the distance that you are from the next VOR navigation point, or if you are going GPS direct, will show here the origin, the destination, and then the distance that you are, and the track that you're going to be at. And that's about it for the bottom section and these the information on the panel here. On this aircraft, when you select, if you climb at 500 feet or 800 feet or 1,000 feet per minute, this black triangle here will move up or down if you are descending, and it will set itself at the speed that you are climbing. So if I'm climbing at 1,500 feet, it will show here 1,500 feet and it will move up to here. It will stay there. And if I start descending at that point to, let's say, minus 1,000 feet per minute, it will show 900, 800, 500, 0, minus 500, and minus 1,000, and it moves to here. So this triangle moves up and down. If you select ILS approach, the glide slope position in relation to the runway will show on the digital square here, right on, exactly on the left hand side of the altimeter, and it will tell you if you are up and down. RA, this will be the radio altimeter, to tell you exactly if you are too high or too low. So if you are at 5,000 feet and you go over a mountain that it's 4,000 feet high, the radio altimeter will tell you, hey, you only have 1,000 feet from where you are to the top of the mountain. So it will give you a warning. And if you are at 5,000 feet and the mountain that you are flying over, it's 4,800 feet, or let's say 4,500 feet, so it's 500 feet difference, it will tell you, caution, 500 feet, meaning that you only have 500 feet between you and the top of the mountain, although you are flying at 5,000 feet. It will give you that information here, so it's quite neat. These keys here will give you more information, so you can select approaches for the GPS. We will cover this on another session here, because it's a lot of technical information there. So I don't even sure if I know how to. Yeah, there you go. This button here, if you scroll to the left or right, it will change the zoom of the map here on the inset. Let me go here again. As you can see, I'm zooming in, and if you scroll to the right, it will zoom out. And then there is an option that you could, seems that it doesn't work on this one, but you could move the mouse. Oh, there it is. You see the mouse going up, and then you could select whatever airport or waypoint there to show you maybe information. I never used that. This button here, it's the course and barometric pressure. Again, the outer circle, you will adjust, or the outer knob, it's right here, circle around the triangle. So that's the triangle, that's a triangle. This will adjust the course, which, although, let me see here, VR1, there you go. You can do it here, or you can do it here. See, it's the same thing. And the outer button, let's move down here a bit, and the outer button will adjust the barometric pressure. There you go. This button here, it will adjust the con radius. This is the transfer. This one here works exactly the same as the navigation button on the left hand side. So outer button will adjust the hundreds, as you can see, and the inner button will tune or change the decimals. Once you are happy with the standby, which on this side is on the right hand side, you click transfer and it will activate. If you wanted to, tune the 80s or ATIS information, you can press or push the button. It will go to COM2, adjust to whatever frequency you want, and activate it. And you push it again and selects the COM1 adjustment. And that's about it for this main screen. This screen here will basically have the duplication of the information on the primary flight display here, but it will add the engine information on the left, your fuel consumption and your fuel left here, the fuel flow, the amps on the battery and the bus, and there's a whole bunch more of options here that it's again duplication of the primary flight display. And these buttons here help you out to adjust and customize your flight plan if you have one. If you click map, there's going to be more options here. Interesting, it's not giving me, there should be a triangle coming up here now, but apparently it's not giving me that graph, which is okay. There you go. I don't understand why I changed the color, but let's go to Autopilot. The Autopilot here is actually quite simple to understand. It's self-explanatory. There's a heading bug here, the navigation or the course here, Autopilot button here. It turns on the flight director on automatically, or you can just select the flight director on its own. If you have set a GPS flight, you would select nav and will fly the whole plan on the GPS. You have here to set the altitude for the Autopilot. So let's say we want to fly at 10,000 feet. You can do that, or you can scroll your mouse wheel up until 10,000 feet. So that's where it's going to show there on your primary flight display. So let's go to, let's say 7,000 feet, so it doesn't take too long. And here you would set how fast you want to climb or descend, and you select the vertical speed. You will change here to vertical speed. Right now it's 0 feet per minute, and if you scroll up, you are descending, and the knob or the vertical speed bug indicator will change there, and you can scroll up and down to change how much you want to climb or descend, or how fast. So that information will show here, and that's the bug that will follow. And here will give you the full speed, vertical speed that you have selected. Once you activate all that on the autopilot and you press the autopilot will start pulling the aircraft up or down, and that triangle, the black triangle, will start adjusting to wherever this bug, the vertical speed bug, is. And that's about it. So basically that was the tutorial on the primary flight display on this aircraft, and the next step would be basically to taxi to the active and go for a spin. We'll cover that on the next video. Bye for now.